Hi, everybody. Tim Hughes. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Digital Leadership Associates. With me today is Phil Ashton. Phil has got a really interesting story that I thought I'd bring him on and have a chat about. But before we get involved in that, Phil, tell us where everybody can get hold of you.
Hi, it's Phil Aston without the H. Everyone goes for the Ashton side, but it's Phil Aston. You can find me at geniusloci.co.uk, which is the name of my media agency, and I'm on Twitter as @geniusloci, or just type in Phil Aston and it will find me. I'm on LinkedIn as Phil Aston, Facebook as Genius Loci Media, and myself buried away somewhere, and on another assorted social media channels, but those are my main ones.
Fantastic. In summary, you're going to tell us about how you picked up the family from the Midlands, and we have a global audience, so it's okay. We assume people don't know
where the Midlands is.
Where the Midlands is. So, but basically, you transferred them equivalent of about 500 miles, which to a place, so from a city, in effect, to a place in the middle of nowhere in the United Kingdom, with 9 months worth of money, no job, and no way of actually making a living. And the reason why and what you've done is that you've actually made a living out of social. And today is about talking about how individuals, what I want to do is inspire anybody that doesn't actually understand social, that they can actually pick up a mobile phone, get on social and create something for themselves. Not necessarily a global business, that you could do that, but create something pretty much from nothing, because you've done that.
I think you can create you could say global business. It's a global network, network of connections.
I know that so we've created a global business. You're not interested in creating a global business because you're in effect providing, if you go to your website, the list of companies that you've done work for is long, but they're all kind of within, I can get in the car and I can drive to them.
Yeah.
But the point that I was trying to make is not necessarily to build global, but you can build a business from using a mobile phone or a laptop or something, get on social and turn it into something.
Yeah, all the relationships that we've ever made, even if it's somebody that literally is like walking distance from here, started with one of these.
Yeah. And so it would be fair to say that pretty much you feel that anybody could do this.
Yes.
You can follow a number of steps. And the thing is about what you've done is, and it's the same with me in my journey in social, was that there wasn't a book.
No.
There wasn't a manual that we opened. We just went and did something and experimented. That didn't work. So we went and experimented something away, and we went down that blind alley, and then we did this and it worked. Oh, right. Okay. So if I keep doing this, and then I found something else. So like, for example, one day I found out that if I wrote on a tweet, my blog at the front of the tweet, I got more engagement than if I didn't write it.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember how I found that out, but I just did. And what I want the audience to understand, that actually some of this is about your own experimentation and your own innovation, but the thing is not to be scared of failure or making a fool of yourself. I make a fool of myself all the time. But what we can do is that we can take nothing and turn it into something. So let's rewind right back. You're Phil Aston without the H, sitting in Solihull.
Yeah.
Sitting in Solihull with your family around the kitchen table, and you suddenly go, hey, everybody, we're now going to move.
Well, it started with my wife's a professional musician, and in 1999, she'd started to write her own music, and the internet was newly born, and I knew nothing about it. I was working for a market research company, and she said, I wonder how you can get, how do you get a record deal? And I thought, well, perhaps you don't need one anymore. Perhaps we can make our own album and then sell it on the internet. So from that, I had to obviously learn how to put together a website in 1999, and there were no books, there were no courses, there were no people doing it. So I just muddled my way through, really. And yes, we did sell some CDs, but what started to happen was people said, how could you do one of those for me? And I was working as a director for WPP at the time. So I had a very big job. I was in charge of about 400 odd people. And we'd always loved this part of Cornwall. So those of you, and I know you're listening and watching from around the world, the UK is shaped like a giant boot. So we were in the middle, in the Midlands, and right down the end, it looks like a toe.
At the toe end of the,
it is Cornwall. And so you can't get any further west than that, really. And it was a place we'd always loved. And we thought, well, you know, because the music had been about Cornwall, some connections came from that because of the website and my marketing background. So we thought, well, why don't perhaps we could eventually move there. And it was 2003-04 when my job was about to become even bigger, and I was going to have to probably move to the USA. And I thought, this is the time to jump ship. So talking to my CEO and trying to explain to them that I was giving up what was a very big financial package to actually for zero, with an idea that, I'm going to do websites, I'm going to do marketing, Sue's going to do albums, I'm going to do lots of other things. And we worked out that, you know, we'd had to kind of double our mortgage because we needed a bigger house, and we'd had to tell a few tall tales to the bank about what we were doing. They actually thought we were going to commute from this place. This is 2003, when banks would just lend money without even asking what was really happening. And we worked out we got about enough money for about 9 months, and we thought, well, that's plenty of time to get everything off the ground. And we moved, and the kids were just about to go to senior school, so there were no jobs in Cornwall that would pay for the mortgage, so the failure was not an option. So within 8 weeks, we realized we were failing. There were none of the things on paper were working. You know, so we also realized we'd moved to Cornwall in 2004 when there was no social media really then. It hadn't been invented. The internet was still incredibly new in a rural area. It was all dial-up, and the internet really was going to the local fish and chip shop and saying, do you know anyone who can fix my washing machine? Everything was just word of mouth. But we started to use the internet, and we started to kind of make connections, and we were using kind of like newsrooms and stuff and talking to people and going to networking things. And as social media started to bubble up in the background, we just kind of jumped on that and started to see this as a way of extending our reach from a place where literally there's a field behind me, beach just down the road. There's no giant metropolis here to go and meet people for a coffee at 8 o'clock in the morning. You have to make your own connections. And so as every bit of social media news came along, we just jumped on it. And as you were saying earlier, there's no formal training for this. There's just a drive that things are happening. And I have to say that anyone watching this now think, oh yeah, but in 2005, 6, 7, it was a different world then. It's the same world now. I think there's never been a more exciting time to jump in and have a go.
Yeah.
Because even if you meet an expert, which is a worrying title, I think you have to have the beginner's mind when everything is possible.
Yes.
With social media, always have a beginner's mind, because as soon as you become an expert, you're going to be washed away because it's changing all the time.
Yes. Yeah, I was sent a thesis the other day, and it was a fairly traditional thesis, and it was using research from like 10 years ago. And I, you know, my belief, and I've had discussions with people on LinkedIn, that things are changing so quickly that if the research is more than 18 months or 2 years old, it's kind of obsolete. And things are changing so quickly with algorithms, with platforms, the psychology of the way that people work, that you have to stay current. This is very much about a growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset. But yes, I remember the days of dial-up and stuff. But we are in a situation where it's such an exciting time, I think, for everybody. Just so people know that basically Phil runs a closed Facebook group, and Phil and I have an interest in physical music. So these album vinyl things and CDs, which I know people generally would laugh at us because we're not streaming stuff, but it's amazing how there is this small collection of people that want to get online and talk about their memories, talk about their experiences. And that can be replicated. I'm sure there's people that will want to talk about lots, there's, my father used to be a sound engineer, and there's people that want to talk about old tape recorders, and there's people that want to talk about all kinds of things. And all of that is available on there. And all of those contacts and that network is available for anybody who has an interest and a passion to tap into.
Yeah.
And what you've done is, you're one of the most networked people I know, and here you are sitting in Cornwall in your house with the field in the background. But I'm out with somebody who lives in the north of England last night, and they say, "Oh yeah, I know Phil." And what you've done, and that's one of the things that I think one of the things that I talk about in my first book, which is about talking to strangers. And from a social mobility perspective, you need to go out and talk to people that you don't know, and that's not going up to them and selling them to them, because you can go and sell to them. There's nothing wrong in doing that, but no one likes being sold to, so you'll find that you won't get very far. But going out and talking to people and having a conversation, and what you'll find is that after a bit, people will go, "Well, what do you do? Tell us about what you do." And they'll actually ask you, I'll say pitch, but they'll ask you to talk to them about, it's no different than going to a networking event and you get a cup of tea or a coffee if you're in America, and you go up to someone and say, "Well, what do you do?" "Well, I've traveled from here and I did this and I went to college." And they go, "So what do you do?"
But what social media what does people, I know a lot of people go to the physical breakfast and network meetings, is that if you go to one of those and you don't really have much of a social presence, you have literally got to work the room. But if you approach it like I've done, wherever we go, even if I only talk to 2% of the room, there'll be people who come up and say, "Oh, you're Phil Aston, aren't you?" Or I've seen your videos. Yeah. Even if we don't have time to talk to everyone, because I've already kind of, in a way, given out a digital business card.
Yes.
And the thing with social media is it's a wrong currency to see how many people liked your post, how many people shared it. There's another huge proportion of people that just saw it and didn't interact with it, but they still.
It amazes me the number of people that come to me that I'm not connected to that will say, "I read your stuff," or I'll get phoned up, "Can you come and present to some partners in EY?" And I'm not even connected to that person. Yeah. And so people get fixated by a number of things. One is the number of followers they have. It doesn't matter. The next is, it's important to have a network, but we tell people it's also about selling through your network or talking through your network as well as your network. And you do need to have as big as network as you can, because every day what you're doing in effect is waving to them across, to social media. Now, here's an interesting, insightful thing that I found. "Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Here's an interesting, insightful thing the next day. Isn't it? God, Tim Hughes, he's the guy with the insightful articles." And at that point, they'll go, "Well, if I ever want to do social selling," and I give Tim Hughes a call. And you'll get people coming to you saying, "What's your advice on this?" or whatever. And one of the things that most people think that we just get online and talk with these, but actually there's a whole load of work that goes in behind for me for prepping this. Mm-hmm. One of the things that you said was that you actually learned to help. The first thing you did was you actually went out and started helping people. And I know that in America, sometimes the red meat cold callers think that helping people is some sort of second degree thing that you can do. But in Europe, we tend to like helping people. But you said, "I went out, that some farmers needed some help around social media. We thought we could help them. So just went and help them.
Yes, that's right. And I think you see it a lot now on social media. It's awash with lead generation type people, and it's all about broadcasting and buy my stuff. And I think that how you should use social media, and how we did to start with, was just listen, you know, and you can watch and think, and you think, who would I like to be connected to? Who would I like to work with? And how can I help them? And I know it's a cliche to say what's their pain point and all this kind of stuff, but it's actually very real. You know, if you can think about, you know, I'd like the look of what these people do, and I'd like to work with them, and I think I can help them, you know, be more successful. I can help them focus on what they really like doing, why I do the stuff I do that they might not have as much interest in. Then you find a connection like that, really. And I think that the social media thing is there are no borders. There's no border control in social media, and I think this medium of video is literally the same way as meeting someone in a bar or in a hotel lobby. And it does make a difference. And the amount of people who have come to me to help with anything because they've seen me talking about something different, but they've seen me and they feel like they know me. And then the other thing is that letting slip, and you'll agree with this, letting slip a little about what your interests are, what you love doing, also gives people some background information of what the kind of person you are. So in the end of the day, it is when you work with anyone, you sign up an agency, you want to think, am I going to get on with this person? Are we going to have any common ground? And so I think this is a British thing. We sometimes just think, well, I'll just talk on topic, because if I go off topic, people might not understand me, or they might think, oh, he's not as serious. I think the thing with social media, and I've just released a blog post today about saying, you know, everyone's saying you must be authentic, but you just got to be yourself.
Yeah,
you will be authentic.
The two mistakes that people make is, first of all, they start thinking, how do I monetize this? As soon as you try and work out a way of making money, you'll fail, because you won't. Because you're fixated on how can I turn this conversation with Phil into money? Well, immediately Phil will go, well, if Phil, you're going to make money out of me, I'm just going to put the phone down. So, you know, it just doesn't work. And the second thing is that people try and be who they think you want me to be, rather than be themselves. You know, on my LinkedIn profile, I talk about crying in meetings. Because I have cried in meetings, because when I sat down working out what I thought social selling was back in 2015, I never thought that I would basically, you know, I had in Singapore, a guy came up to me and hugged me and said, "You've changed my life." I've had people come up to me. I was at a Christmas drinks, and the guy basically said, "You completely changed my business. You completely changed my life for the better." By the way, this is, and I just never knew that I could do that. And when I wrote, you've read my, read both of them. My first book, I actually wrote it because I thought it'd be nice for my dad to see that, you know, he was 80 something. It'd be nice to see that Tim actually didn't turn out quite the waste of time that he thought. You know, he wasn't the classical conductor that, you know, he wanted me to. He thought that I would be. You know, you think, oh well, maybe Tim's actually done some well, but actually changing people's life, and that's different. And that authenticness is so important. If we were standing in a bar, we would talk about certain things. We wouldn't talk about Phil is a energetic, tenacious individual who used to be had a high power role at WPP, and the crap that people write on their social media. It's the Phil that you see here in his denim shirt and with his CDs and DVDs behind him and stuff like that, stuff that you can actually know about, and you would know that if that was in the bar. And that's one of the things that's so difficult for people, is in a way stepping off. We quite often talk about stepping off a roof, and actually having the courage to do that, to know that on your social profiles, you need to be yourself, who you are. And people will find that attractive.
I think it's very important what you said about not looking for a way of monetizing everything. We've got a really good example on something on this. About 2014, we were on Google Plus as it was then, And one of the reasons why we weren't over there is because of the technology called Hangouts on Air. And we'd seen that they were starting to broadcast like little mini programs. And a girl in America had done a live concert, although at the time we didn't realize it had been kind of mocked up. So we thought that we'd have a go at that. And we thought that, we're in a tiny little house in the middle of nowhere, and we could broadcast, a concert from our lounge, and see if people around the world could see it. Now there was a huge learning curve on this because our super fast broadband had only just been installed. We had to buy all these bits of kit and stuff, and of course we thought it might sound rubbish, and nobody might come along. And we had a go, and it was a success. And we had people from all around the world, every continent and every country, tuning in. And people, when they realised we were doing this, said, well, how are you making money out of it? Or how are you going to make money out of that? I mean, it must be taking you so long to do it when you could be doing other work. Because it did take a lot of setup and stuff. And we said, no, I think we just want to do this. And we did get a lot of work from that. And it wasn't people saying, can you come and help us broadcast live from our hotel, whatever, because we'd shown that we could, adapt to quite technical, high technical problems and find a solution for it and come up with a product that looked really good. They thought, well, these people obviously might be able to help us in a creative way that we haven't even thought of. And we didn't know, we just focused on doing the best broadcast we could do. It's only afterwards we realized that BT had picked us up as a showcase business, that Google in London got in touch with us to say, how the hell did you do that? And all of that. And then we got a couple of clients from London, again, nothing to do with broadcasting live, but just because they saw us and found out about us. So I think you have to have that kind of joy in your heart to think that looks like an adventure. And that's, social media still is like the Wild West. And if you hear about something from several websites and there's something new coming along in Facebook or Instagram, just jump on it. Maybe read a bit about what other power people are using it, but then think, how could I use that? And how would I like to use that? And then other people think maybe they can help me use that in a better way than I've thought of.
And this video, just as much as your concert, is content.
Yeah.
What people are doing is that they're online looking for content. I've got a problem. I don't know how I'm going to solve it, but hey, and I lose track, and I'm going to and you basically then decide to go online and pick up your wife's concert, and you go, I wonder if these people could help me. You just don't know based on the content that you're creating about where that's going to lead you. But if you sit there and think, how am I going to make money from this content? I can assure you, you won't. It will fail. But if you just create content that is insightful and educational, you'll find that stuff will come to you. I think it kind of sounds like magic beans, but it works. It does work for you, and it works for me as well.
I think you just there is room for everybody to make their own space here, and I think I see every day on my feeds on social media, because someone said, oh, you need to do 60-second videos every day. You start to see them all start appearing from all over the place, and people are obviously trying to copy a model because they've read it somewhere. And the thing is, you should take some of that as inspiration, but then still be yourself.
Yes, the worst thing you can do is say, right, oh yeah, Gary V, he's really great, so I'm going to be the next Gary V. You're not the next Gary V, because you're not Gary V.
Exactly.
You're everybody in the world has a unique set of experiences that they bring, and that makes you unique. And you shouldn't be somebody else. You're not the next Beatles. You're not the next Gary V. You are who you are. Well, one of the things that I've written down in my notes is community. So you actually said a number of things. You had three things that you said that you kind of you're scared now because you think I'm going to tell you what the three things are. Don't worry.
That's good.
Yeah. It says, does it help?
Yeah.
Will it make people smile? And will it inspire? And I think those are really great little three things. It's it's Phil's 3 rules of content marketing. There you go. I'll give you that for free.
Thank you.
And you're welcome. And then I've got this build community.
I think because
what you mean by build community.
That community, to some people, think it's a little self-contained little group of people that sits within a Facebook group or a community on a different social media channel. But that community is whoever you are connected with, whoever they are, whatever channel it's on. And there'll be some channels where you're kind of more unguarded, and there'll be other channels where you feel more kind of front of house, and it's more kind of a part of your corporate image. But it's more about thinking that there'll be times in all of us in our life, what's going on the TV, politically, in the world, where you'll suddenly get wound up and feel that you should just join in with someone else's rant. I never do that. And I think maybe I run a business. So I'm always kind of thinking that I am running a business and building my communities, as many connections as I have. Some of those communities are literally private little silos somewhere, but it's everyone. So whatever I post, before I press send, it is thinking, does this help? You know, is it going to hurt anybody? Is it going to cause any kind of ripples? You know, this is not a paradox with saying be yourself. It's thinking about using social media and the digital communication gifts we have in this time on the planet to help others, to inspire others, and that's everything that I do has that behind it.
Yeah,
and that does mean that, you know, it does mean that sometimes I've written things and suddenly thought,
posts I've written never meaning to send. You know, we always recommend to people, don't do politics, don't do religion, don't do addictions like gambling, drinking, and avoid smut, and generally avoid swearing. And the reason for all of those things, that these are people's beliefs, and beliefs are not based on fact or anything. You know, I believe that Liverpool Football Club is the best football team in the world. You can give me facts to show me that they're not the best football team in the world, but it's still my belief, and I will just say, talk to the hand. And that's the same whether it's politics, all of those things. And my advice to anybody starting off in social media is don't go there. I know you get that rush of blood going to the head and you say, this is wrong, but and I filter everything that I do. And I have people on my Facebook feed who post stuff that I don't agree with, and I just let it go. Because actually what happens, I start going, I never thought about that. Don't agree with it, but I never thought about that. And I think it's really important. For me, it's important to be nice to everybody.
Yeah, I agree, because every post is a calling card, even if you don't think it is, that it could slowly be shared or be seen by people you've never even met yet or even made a connection with.
And most people say, yeah, but it's Facebook and it's just family and friends. Yeah, but I can take a screenshot of it and put it on mainstream social media. Everything that you post is like a tattoo, or putting it on a sandwich board and walking up and down in front of the building. It's there for life, and you've got to be able to stand by that. And I just don't get involved. But the community thing, I think, is so important, that it's about making sure that people see you as somebody that they can turn to for support.
And that's great. And it's whether, even if they're a Liverpool fan or they're a Manchester United fan, because if they don't, you're just seen as neutral. So I attract, both means. So you attract people from probably all sorts of different political disciplines, because they just see us as someone who can help them.
Yes, because if you suddenly say, I support this, immediately the people that don't support that won't come to you.
Exactly.
But if you're vanilla, then you'll get all kinds of people. And I just think it's really important that that people see you as a nice person, but community is also supporting people. So there's people that there's a person that I've never met who is currently going through cancer treatment. And what he's going through is really horrible. But I've sent him a note saying, I'm really sorry, and you have my sympathy, and I'm watching your posts. And he came back and said, I really appreciate that. It's really horrible. But we're having a conversation, and I'm not just picking up on that because he's going through a hard time. I actually really authentically want to support him. And that what that will do is pay back dividends, because I think we probably believe in that what goes around comes around. And if you are being nice to people, somebody will be nice to you, and it just goes around. And if you're doing that, the more people that you connect to, I've got 1,000 friends on Facebook. If I'm nice to those people, they go, that Tim Hughes is a good guy. You need to go and talk to him.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that it's mainly the people I've met through video kind of medium, people like Damon Ameland and stuff, Mark Trackhagen in the States and stuff, that I've never been to where they live, and they'll probably never come over here. But I've got very strong connections with all those people through having video chats and being on broadcasts and stuff. And so that I'm known by the people that they're connected to, and it slowly spreads out. So the thing is, if you're on Facebook, it's very much a walled garden. It's quite hard to break out of the borders of where Facebook thinks that you are a UK-based citizen, and these are the friend suggestions you will get from us. But I think you should use social media to try and break out as many to many people as possible. I don't really like the word influencer too much, because it's getting kind of a bad press at the moment. But if you read someone's book, or you start to look their posts and you talk to them and you give them good feedback, and it's not just great post, loved it, you actually go into a bit more depth, that they will kind of interact with you, and then other people will see who you are. And it takes a bit of work, but it's if you're just being you, and as you say, you're thinking, I really mean what I'm typing here. I really want this person to know how I felt about this.
Yes.
And I want them to know that they made a difference.
Yes.
I want to help. I want to inspire. I want to create something. Then your network will just expand a lot faster than heading with a box of business cards to a random breakfast meeting. Yeah,
and all turning up and saying, here's my product, and I've got 30% off.
Yeah,
go away. The cycle, and this is not, I'm not telling people that they shouldn't sell, but the psychology is that nobody gets up in the morning and says, I want to talk to a manipulative salesperson today.
But the thing is, though, everyone knows you're selling because they know you're running a business.
Yes.
So they just get to know you. They'll if they want it, they'll say, we're looking for someone who can help with this. Could you do it?
Yeah.
Without you even, so you shouldn't even have to mention it. You shouldn't have to go up to someone and say, oh, do you need any help with your social media? Because they know you do that. So if they need help, and if you've made a good impression, they'll come to you and say, do you know what? Could you help us with this? Because we're really busy at the moment or whatever. So you don't have to do any cold selling at all. So if you are kind of shy or a bit of an introvert, there's never been a better time to just have a go.
Yeah, and so a mutual friend of ours, Jazz Greer, named Jazz, who he's actually he works with micro businesses similar to yourself, but he's in a place in the UK called Derby.
Yeah,
what he's going to do, what he's realised is that there's a lot of people running micro businesses who are just completely scared of selling. And here's an opportunity. You with I know that I'm an introvert, though people don't often realise it, and I know that you admit that you're an introvert as well.
Yeah.
And here we are in a situation where if we're having a conversation, I say something, you have to respond. Which is an introvert, sometimes it's not necessarily, you do your best thinking away from the conversation.
Yeah.
And so, with social media is you can have a conversation, but you can go, well, the other person responded, but I'm going to put the phone down and I'm going to do the washing up. And then you'll come back and you go, wow, I've got a really good response to it. And you can come back an hour later. Social media is the platform for introverts. And if you're a small business, you don't like selling, you don't need to sell. but you can go on and sell what you're doing. And Jazz is basically just, I saw a video that he'd done today about saying, this is just so easy that you as an introvert, you can go on and sell without selling.
Yeah, I agree totally.
So Phil, we're at 35 minutes.
Okay.
Goes really, really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of out of time. Remind everybody again where they can get hold of you.
Okay. Well, the main website is geniusloci.co.uk.
Can you spell that for me, please?
Yes, of course. Yeah. My only advice to people would be, when you pick a name for your business, always pick one that's easy to say on the radio. So obviously we didn't pay any attention to that whatsoever. It's geniusloci.co.uk. That's our business. And I say you can find us on all major social media channels as well, either from Genius Loci or Phil Aston.
And you're Phil Aston without an H.
I am.
You're on LinkedIn. You're Genius on
Genius Loci on Twitter.
You're Phil Aston on Facebook.
And if you're a music fan, you'll find the music community as well.
Yeah. Great. Thank Phil. I love your 3 tips on content marketing. That was fantastic.
Thank you.
And I'll talk to you soon.
Oh, okay. Thanks a lot, Tim. Thanks
Cheers,
very much.
Phil.
Thank
Bye.
you.